Cardano DeFi has been absolutely blowing up recently, and there's one protocol in particular that has just been a straight up money printer. So in this video, I'm about to explain to you guys how I've been making over 3% on average per month using Indigo protocol and everything that you need to do to get started, as well as what you need to know. So what the heck is Indigo and how has it been making so much money recently with relatively low risk? Well guys, Indigo is a synthetic assets protocol that allows you to use your ADA as collateral in order to get the synthetic version of Ethereum, USD, or Bitcoin. And what it does, guys, is it has a pricing oracle to always make sure that the synthetic version of Ethereum, for example, which is IETH, is always matching the price of Ethereum. And what you can do, guys, is you can open up a thing called a CDP, and using that CDP, you can stake it to one of their stability pools, which will get you these different APRs. Now, the APRs have gone down since I first started getting into this and since I first told our group, but they're still at 48.72% for this IETH. The Bitcoin is 46%, and then this IUSD is 32%. So it's still very high APRs with the amount of risk you have. Now, there's a few key reasons why someone might actually want to open up one of these synthetics on Indigo. Reason number one, guys, is it allows you to get exposure to Ethereum and Bitcoin while remaining on the Cardano ecosystem. So you can still use your ADA as collateral, get this synthetic asset, have exposure to that asset, and now all of a sudden still be able to stake your ADA and all be within the blockchain of Cardano, while at the same time not having to go through some sort of centralized exchange or something of that matter. The second reason why someone might want to do this is that it is a hedge. If ADA is your collateral to, let's say, IETH, and IETH goes on an absolute massive run, well, there's a chance that your ADA could be liquidated if your collateral is set low enough. And yes, you will lose some money on that, but now all of a sudden you'll have that synthetic asset instead of that ADA. So God forbid, the SEC comes out and says, oh, ADA is a security or whatever the case is. Now all of a sudden you're going to have that IETH instead. So it kind of acts as a hedge. And the third reason someone might want to do this, or at least the main reasons in my mind, is that Indigo has a whole entire revenue sharing fee structure that allows you to basically make profits each time these different synthetics are traded, each time a new CDP is open, and honestly, each time anyone does anything on the site. Before showing you guys how to do this and everything that you need to know, I wanted to show you guys the rewards so you know that I wasn't capping about this. I have about 160,000 ADA currently in an IETH CDP at around 125% collateral ratio. And by the way, guys, I'm going to cover it, so don't freak out right now. In this last epoch, I was able to get about 181 Indigo tokens from the stability pool, and an Indigo token has been holding pretty much 4 ADA for the entire past month. So every epoch or every 5 days, it's about 724 ADA right now, and if you times that over a month period, if everything stays the same, you're looking at about 4,344 ADA a month passively. Now, what's pretty crazy about this, guys, is if you divide that by my investment of 160,000, that's about 2.7%, and it gets even better than that because when you go to these stability pools, you'll notice that a percentage of these rewards are actually in ADA, and that's from people getting liquidated, so that didn't even include the full thing. And then on top of that, because this is non-custodial, you can still stake that ADA to whatever stake pool you want. So right now, I'm staking that 160,000 ADA into this FAX pool, where not only am I going to average an additional 4.5% over a year from being in a pool, but now I'm also going to be able to get this airdrop of all of their different FAX tokens when they come out, and that might end up being an additional few percent. So it's really crazy, guys. I get this APR paid in Indy, I then get the ADA APR, I can then stake it to an ISPO pool, and then I can get those Indy reward tokens, and I can go to the governance section of this, and now I can stake those Indy rewards and get even more ADA out of it. Now, right now, this ADA APR for Indy has dropped down significantly, but you're still going to be getting these different APRs. And as more people use the platform, you're actually going to make more revenue here from these different APRs, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, overall, guys, it makes a lot of money, and the downside is actually very limited, and I'll show you guys how to do this now. The first thing that you guys need to determine if you you want to open up a CDP is which synthetic asset you want to go with. Right now, there's 3 different assets, which is IBTC, IETH, and IUSD. And if you remember at the beginning of my video, guys, I was saying that your ADA is being used as collateral to get these synthetic assets and open up the CDP, which can go in the stability pool. So the way it works is if ADA and Ethereum are the same price or they're moving in tandem, then your collateral ratio is always going to be the same. But if all of a sudden Ethereum goes on a massive run and ADA doesn't go anywhere, then all of a sudden your ADA in dollar value compared to your IETH in dollar value is way different now. So your collateral ratio is going to change. And one of the risks with this protocol, guys, which it shouldn't be a risk at all if you're on top of your stuff, is that if Ethereum, for example, in the CDP goes on a massive run, I could get liquidated if my collateral ratio goes below 110%. So in this example, guys, if I have $100 worth of ADA, the max amount of IETH I'm able to get is $90 worth. That is a 110% ratio. The moment that 110% gets to 109%, your ADA will be liquidated and you will now have that IETH asset. And that liquidation, that revenue that you basically lost from messing up and getting liquidated, that is then distributed to people that are staking the Indigo token in this whole entire governance protocol. So basically, guys, you have to determine, hey, IETH might move up a lot more or a lot more rapidly than something like Bitcoin or something like USD when compared to Cardano. Maybe I want to go into something a little bit safer. In my opinion, in my experience though, guys, the most movement that you're going to have in your collateral ratio in a day is like 3 to 5% max. Most of the time, Ethereum and Cardano move up together, and it's very, very rare that Ethereum goes on a massive run when compared to Cardano. So definitely start off with a higher ratio if you want to be a little bit more comfortable. But realize, guys, the lower your ratio, the more synthetic asset you're going to get. The more synthetic asset you have, the more you can deposit into the stability pool. And the more you can deposit into the stability pool, the more money or the higher the APR you're going to make. So just keep that in mind. The other thing you have to note, guys, is that the actual IETH and IBTC are both 110%. But if you wanted to get into IUSD, you need at least 120% collateral ratio. Once you've determined which actual synthetic assets you want to go to, you can now click open position, and this is where you can set your whole entire collateral ratio amount. So let's say I wanted to put 100 ADA into this, guys, at a 195 collateral ratio. I am now in the green, which is super safe. Most likely you're not going to get liquidated on this. There'd have to be a big price disparity, and what I'm going to get is this 0.000708 IBTC, which I can then deposit into the stability pool. Now what I can do is I can mess with this and I can say, hey, I only want 155% ratio. And now all of a sudden you're going to get significantly more of that asset, and you can even go lower to, let's say, 125. And once again, guys, you're not going to be able to do 109 because the moment you go below 110, you're going to get liquidated and you're going to lose your ADA. So pretty much it's as simple as this, guys. You determine which ratio you want to do. I would do a higher ratio of like 145 until you get used to it. And if you're someone that can stay by the computer and at least pay attention to it once or twice a day, you really should have no worries about being liquidated. Knock on wood though, if you get liquidated, it's on you, it's not on me. Now, once you actually have this IBTC, you're going to get it in the version of a CDP. Your ADA is still going to show up in pool.pm, but it is going to leave your wallet at the top here. And now what you can do is you can go to the stability pool, you literally hit open account, guys, and you're going to see your Bitcoin balance or your IBTC, and you can simply say, hey, I understand, I want to deposit 100% into it, and then you can open up that account. Once you already have an account, it'll actually show up as manage, and this is where you can mess with the amount of ADA that's used as collateral or the amount of that synthetic asset you have. So at any point in time, guys, if my collateral ratio is getting too low, like anything below 125 in my situation, what I can do is I can add more ADA to this, and now it'll bump up my collateral ratio. This is the deposit deposit feature. So if I wanted to go to 155%, for example, I would have to add in another 34,000 ADA. So pretty much, guys, I keep an eye on this, and whenever it gets too low, I simply deposit more ADA. Now, the opposite is also true, where you can also withdraw ADA. So let's say your collateral ratio is getting too high and you want to lower that so you can get more of that synthetic asset and make more money. Now, all of a sudden, you can actually withdraw ADA from this. And as you notice, guys, if I took away 10,000 ADA, I am now going to have a 120% collateral ratio. Now, one thing I'll say with the withdrawal, guys, is there is a 2% fee doing this. So I don't recommend actually withdrawing your collateral amount if you want to have a lower collateral ratio. What I would instead recommend is this this mint function, where you can actually mint more of this iETH asset. So for example, guys, if I wanted to mint one more iETH, now my collateral ratio will drop to 123. And once I have this iETH, I simply can go back to the stability pool. I can re-add it to this pool literally by going to manage, guys. I'll see my iETH here and I can simply add it again. And that way I avoid that fee. Now, in that situation, you're not really taking ADA out, but you are continually putting more ADA in if you're constantly trying to increase your ratio. So I wouldn't recommend putting all of your eggs in this one basket. I don't recommend doing that with anything, but specifically for Indigo, just so you don't have to take that fee and you can keep putting more in. Now, there was one other function here, which is called burn, and this is where you can actually close your entire CDP that you're making here, or you can burn a percentage of your iETH. So if I went to my stability pool, I can go to manage and I can withdraw a certain amount of this iETH. And what I can then do is I can then go back to my dashboard. I can go to manage. And at this point in time, I could actually burn some of that iETH. So now I have less iETH, and this in turn is going to increase my collateral ratio, because once again, I have less iETH now and more ADA in the CDP. And if I wanted to close the entire thing, I could simply get all of the iETH, put it in here, and just close the entire CDP. Now that I've shown you guys how to do this and talked about the money you can make, what are the different fees and risks that are associated with using this protocol? Well, the first thing is, guys, is whenever you withdraw ADA from your CDP and lower your collateral rate, you are going to get hit with a 2% fee. And that's why I said you're much better off just simply depositing more ADA if you want to increase your rate, or minting more of the synthetic asset if you want to reduce it. You also get hit with a 2% fee once you close any portion of your CDP. So recognize, guys, that if you're getting into this and you want to do this, to not just put all of your money in it where you can't pay your bills and then all of a sudden you've got to close your CDP. You need to be doing this for at least 20 days to just break even on this CDP closing fee, because you're making about 3% over the course of a month if you're doing what I'm doing. And it might even be 30 days or 40 days or a longer period of time as this goes on. So just recognize that. Now, what's cool is each time these fees are taken, they're being redistributed to everyone that's staking this Indy token in their whole entire governance. The next thing you have to know is when you open up a stability pool for the first time, you are going to get hit with a 5 ADA fee. And whenever you're depositing, withdrawing, or claiming, you're also going to get hit with a 1 ADA fee. And once again, this is revenue that is being distributed to everyone. So the more money flow and more people doing this, the more revenue that's going to be distributed to everyone, which is super cool. The last thing that you have to know when it comes to fees is that if you get liquidated, you are really getting screwed. If you're getting liquidated, that means that you either didn't have your collateral ratio high enough, or you aren't paying enough attention to this actual protocol. If you're someone that's not going to go on here once a day or every so often to check it, then I would not recommend doing this. You are going to get much higher rewards if you pay attention to it and every so often add a little bit more ADA or mint a little bit more of this iETH or whatever the case is. You are going to make significantly more money this way, and there should be very, very, very low odds that you actually get liquidated, simply because usually ADA and Bitcoin or ADA and Ethereum move in tandem. Like I said earlier, I think the most I've ever seen my collateral move in one day was like 4 or 5%. Most of the time it moves between 1 and 2% a day. So if you're someone that even doesn't want to pay as much attention, you can always do a higher ratio and you'll have a lot less likely odds. Once again, anyone that gets liquidated, that revenue is being distributed to everyone. And the amount you lose here is going to be around 9% if you did an IETH and IBTC, and it's going to be around 19% if you did an IUSD. And the reason is, guys, is let's say you had $100 worth of ADA, you were only getting $90 worth of IETH when it comes to this whole entire CDP. The moment that ADA goes to 99 ADA versus $90 worth of IETH is the moment you get liquidated, because now you no longer have at least that 10% difference. And what happens is you kind of lose that 9% value, or you lose that difference. And to make it worse, guys, this IETH and IBTC, another thing that you have to be aware of, doesn't have as much LP or liquidity when it comes to these different trades. So if you wanted to sell that IETH and you had a ton of IETH that you got from this, you're going to also have price impact when you sell it. And most of the time, even with that price impact and the liquidation and all this stuff, it ends up being around that 9%, depending on how much money you have. But that's something you have to be very aware of. And if you get liquidated, then that's honestly on you, because you weren't paying enough attention to this, or you didn't have enough collateral. I personally don't have any fear of really being liquidated, because I'm someone that keeps on top of this. Now, outside of fees, what do you have to worry about? Well, guys, there could always be an issue with the pricing oracle, where now all of a sudden that IETH or that synthetic isn't properly tracking the price of that real asset, and maybe there could be some exploit if that does end up happening. So that's something that you have to take into consideration. The other risk that you have here is that it's a smart contract, and smart contracts could be hacked. So God forbid this whole thing gets hacked, now all of a sudden all of your money is gone. And that's kind of the risk in being in DeFi in general. You hope it never happens to you, but you recognize that could happen. Now, the great thing about Indigo, though, guys, is that not a lot of hackers are really paying attention to Cardano. It's really hard to hack because Cardano is just more safe in general than other blockchains. And then on top of that, they got to be really smart, because they got to know Plutus, which is very, very difficult to learn. And literally the only other risk, guys, is liquidation, which should not be a risk at all. So to quickly summarize everything that I've said so far, guys, this is a synthetic assets protocol. You're using your ADA as collateral to get a synthetic asset. You can then open up these different positions in your dashboard here, as well as manage them by managing your collateral ratio. The main risk are if you get liquidated, or if this whole entire thing gets hacked, or if someone manipulates the pricing oracle in some sort of way. But if that doesn't happen, you're literally making about 50% right now APR. You're averaging around 3% return on your investment per month. If you're someone that has the same setup as me, you're still able to stake all of your ADA to whatever pool you want, get into different ISPOs, and then you can always stake those different rewards in this whole entire governance section. And then as more people use this protocol, all of these different fees are going to be redistributed to people that are either in this governance aspect or people that are in these stability pools. And the last thing that I want to mention here is whenever someone does get liquidated, guys, you're going to see this available rewards here, and it's going to show a lot of ADA. Please realize that only a small percentage of that ADA is actually your reward from them getting liquidated. The rest of the ADA, you're simply going to have to claim and re-put into this pool. And that's just kind of how the stability pool works when someone has their IETH liquidated. It's going to make you have to, restake and redo your whole IETH thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation. It's about 3% a month right now. And the actual token itself has been holding up pretty strongly here. For the past month, it's pretty much been holding this 4 ADA mark. When they first released, they did go on a significant drop from what their launch bowl price was on MinSwap. They then went on a run. And then some of the people on their team had sold, and there was this whole entire fiasco. But now, for the most part, guys, it has been holding this 4 ADA level. And on top of that, there's a lot of upside potential with this token, simply because Cardano has been going on a massive TVL boom already. It's still very small in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the market cap of this overall chain. And with such a great protocol and a whole sea of not a lot of protocols yet on Cardano, it's one of those tokens that could go up a lot in price as time time goes on. The last few things that I wanted to cover here, guys, is that the actual market cap for Indigo protocol is only around 19 million ADA, or around 7 to 8 million US dollars for their circulating market cap, with their fully diluted market cap around 142 million ADA. Now, one thing you have to note is only about 13% of the supply is actually circulating, and you can go onto their site and look at their tokenomics tab to see how exactly these tokens are being allocated. 25% to the team, there is an airdrop, most of the rewards are going to the stability pool, and all of these rewards are going to be dispersed over a 5-year period. So just to look at the inflation chart, there is a lot of inflation coming when it comes to this Indigo token. So you can either decide to stake your token like I'm mostly doing, and recognize that there is going to be a lot of inflation, but that hopefully Cardano TVL demand and DeFi demand outpace that inflation. Or what you can do is you can just sell those tokens every single epoch when you claim them and make that money. If you guys want to know a little bit more information about Indigo, you can also go to their documentation, where you can get a little bit more guides and just learn about all this. I pretty much told you guys everything you need to know, even stuff that, in my opinion, isn't even on their documentation. And just so you guys know, there is a platform called Synthetics that is on Ethereum, I believe. I have personally not used this protocol, but they do the same exact thing, but they call it SBTC, SETH, SUSD. And these guys literally have a 100x higher market cap than Indigo. So that kind of just shows the potential, not only in the current market, but in a bull market if this platform really blows up. And then on top of that, you're on Cardano with the liquid staking. So you honestly have benefits that you can't even have on Ethereum yet. So that's super cool as well. Before wrapping up this video, I did want to do one more quick shill, and that's the fact that I mostly cover Cardano NFT content on this channel, but I'm going to start covering a lot more Cardano DeFi stuff simply because it's blowing up, and I want to educate the people all in the space of all the different risks and benefits of being in there. I also want to say that I own my own project called Jelly Cubes, and we're just a group of investors that pretty much talk about different plays and opportunities, mostly in the NFT space, but we've also been covering a lot of Cardano DeFi recently. And it was actually members of our group that told me about this Indigo protocol literally months ago, back when you were making an average of 5 to 6% a month, which is absolutely ridiculous. And even the same member in our group, Rami, so shout out to Rami if he's watching this, he literally told everyone to buy ADA and talked about ADA back when it was below 80 cents. So there's a couple different plays that we're doing in there. We mostly are a Cardano NFT group, but if you wanted a group that could potentially talk about some of these different crypto investments, DeFi opportunities, if you wanted to get into the NFT scene in general, definitely check out the project or simply subscribe to the channel because I am going to be covering it more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the video. It took a lot of time for me to actually make this and kind of explain how everything works. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it and find some value in it. And also, I do recognize that by telling everyone on this channel and anyone that sees this video that those APRs are going to go down over time. So I'm kind of hurting myself a little bit here, but I think Cardano DeFi has so much potential, and I think it's really important to me as someone who covers content in the space to really let you guys know about these different opportunities. But I do let my personal group in Jelly Cubes know a little bit earlier if you wanted to get into things a little bit earlier. But still, this is a really great opportunity, and I hope that you guys were able to benefit from it. And yeah, that wraps things up. I'll catch you guys on the next one.